Well, talk of the kitchen sink coming our way. I've got to tell you about blizzard warnings in portions of the state, intense damaging winds coming our way, as well as the rain transitioning over to some snow. Came in to leave out the chance for a little bit of severe weather for some across the state, a very select few, but all of that I have to talk about in a matter of a few minutes here early this morning. As we're starting out, we are going to feel very spring-like we have in days past throughout the morning and even into the early afternoon. It's not until later that the winds come crashing in with colder air as we transition over some rain and even some thunderstorms this afternoon over some snow eventually. Damp conditions, we did have a storm or two move through overnight, did produce a little bit of hail, I think, in some areas on the south side of town over toward Eagle as well. But in Lincoln this morning, pretty easygoing. Maybe you need your windshield wipers occasionally. And you'll see how spring-like it feels looking at these temperatures in the upper 40s to almost the middle 50s. 55 in Beatrice and Nebraska City. And you'll see on the other side of the state the winter weather looming with temperatures already dropping down to about 34 degrees in Valentine. That combined with some very strong north to northwest winds sustained around 25 to 35 miles per hour. The winds here in eastern Nebraska are not all that bad. They're out of the south and southeast around 5 to maybe 15 miles per hour. Look at these wind gusts out west. They've been approaching 40 to 45 miles per hour. We did last half hour see a 51 mile per hour wind gust recently in Imperial, and all of this is going to spread east throughout the day today. Already increasing in magnitude for western Nebraska by 7 a.m. Talking about wind gusts around 55 to maybe 60 miles per hour, but then this spreads out. That area pink, we're looking at 55 to 65 mile per hour winds spreading into central Nebraska as soon as noon. You'll notice it's not affecting us here in southeast Nebraska just yet, but it's on our doorstep. By this afternoon, it will spread into portions of eastern and northeastern Nebraska. Already 50 mile per hour wind gusts, I think, as soon as about 3 o'clock. So the winds are going to speed up drastically into this afternoon and evening. And I think the peak wind gusts this evening and overnight will be around 65 to 70 miles per hour for much of eastern Nebraska. We're looking at a very long stretch of these significant winds, too. One of the longer ones we've probably seen in several years. And still, by 6 a.m. tomorrow, wind gusts around 50 to almost 60 miles per hour. So very intense damaging winds. Will still be around 40 mile per hour wind gusts into the afternoon tomorrow, but high wind warnings will be in place until about noon for all of eastern Nebraska into south central Nebraska as well. And then we got to talk about the precipitation. There is a line of thunderstorms central Nebraska, some snow starting to cut in on the backside through the sand hills. But you'll notice this rain, this snow line through central and western Nebraska this morning. It'll transition over to mainly snow later this morning and into the afternoon. But then the moisture fills in, and in eastern Nebraska, we'll see the rain start to pick back up, some embedded thunderstorms possible before that cold air comes crashing in on the back end by this evening. And we'll see that transition over to snow as the worst of the winds are arriving as well. At times, moderate to heavy snow. This will not be a time to be out on the roads as you're looking into this evening and tonight. At times, travel will be treacherous, if not impossible, and then the precipitation snow moves out early Wednesday, but we'll still have a long period of blowing snow well into Wednesday morning and afternoon. But you heard me earlier, I'd had to talk about a little bit of severe weather. A marginal risk does cover a little bit of southeast Nebraska, mainly for some hail and some gusty winds. That'll be on the lower end of things for some thunderstorms this afternoon. But then for the snow, here's a rough estimate, but the snow amount is not the most important thing I talk about today. And it's going to be very hard to measure as we're talking about wind gusts around 55 to almost 70 miles per hour. But a rough estimate for what we're expecting. And in the areas under a blizzard warning, expecting a little bit more snow and where some whiteout conditions will be more likely tonight through early Wednesday. That does include Omaha, areas closer to the Missouri River, just east of Lincoln and Beatrice. We're including a winter weather advisory. And just because we're not in the blizzard warning, still expect near blizzard conditions will be possible, especially this evening and through tonight into early Wednesday. Beyond this, into tomorrow, again, very windy still for Wednesday, and then we're not done. We still have rain, snow possible Thursday into Friday, and then we'll kind of clear out for this weekend and warm up nicely, and next week will be a much needed break after all this.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Jessica.